guys, we are going to be doing dict, meaning to speak, on page 50 of your Roots book. So go ahead and turn there, make sure you have your pen or pencil and your highlighter. Go ahead and highlight that root at the top. And our first word is actually going to be in the paragraph there. So let's start there. The word addict has a long history. In Roman law, to addict a person meant to turn that person over to a master by sentence or speaking of the court. Through the years, addict has kept something of its old meaning in that it now refers to turning oneself over to a habit, which can, of course, be a master. So, to be addicted or to addict oneself is turning oneself over to a habit. Here I'm talking about a chocolate addiction. Apparently, unless you're addicted to chocolate, you don't get to park here, and if you break the rules, you have to skip your dessert. Alright, our next word is abdicate. It's from the roots ab, meaning away, and dict, meaning to speak. So make sure you've highlighted the word and the roots and underlined the meaning. It's a verb, to renounce formally a throne or high office. So our example today is going to be Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. She actually abdicated her throne. Now, she's not speaking English, so don't be confused. But there's a subtitle, so read what she's saying at the bottom.
Enkele dagen mijn 75ste verjaardag te vieren. Ik ben dankbaar dat het mij gegund is deze dag in goede gezondheid tegemoet te gaan. Aan het einde van dit jaar zullen wij herdenken dat ons land 200 jaar geleden een koninkrijk werd, waarmee in onze geschiedenis een nieuw tijdperk aanbrak. Het samenvallen van deze twee bijzondere gebeurtenissen is voor mij de aanleiding geweest te besluiten dit jaar uit mijn ambt.
Alright, so if you look, right now it says at the bottom to resign from my office. So what she's been talking about is how it's her 75th birthday, and it's the country's 200th anniversary. And so she's resigning. She's going to step down as the queen. She's going to abdicate her throne. She already did this. Her son, I believe it was, took over. Our next word is contradict. It's from the roots contra, meaning against, and dict, meaning to speak. So literally to speak against, to assert the opposite of what someone said. Now what I went with here is a quotation. Children today are tyrants. They contradict their parents, gobble their food, and tyrannize their teachers. That sounds like you guys, right? No, I'm just kidding. But if you look, what the speaker is discussing is that children argue with their parents, right? Contradict. They go against everything their parents say, they eat really messy, and they drive their teachers crazy. What's really interesting about this is that Socrates actually said it a really long time ago, between 470 and 399 BC when he lived. So, it's pretty old, huh? Apparently, children haven't changed much, huh? Our next word is dictate. Dictate is a verb. It means to speak or read something aloud to be recorded by another, to give or speak orders or commands. Now, a long time ago, people actually dictated things to like a secretary. So the boss might have a letter that needed writing, and he or she would record it or say it out loud, and the secretary would sit there and type it out or write it out. Okay? We don't really do that as much anymore because, well, we have computers and stuff, right? So I'm going to show you the kind of dictation we're more familiar with.
You see that little Siri dictation icon, and Siri dictation is pretty much just translating your voice to text, and it's found on the iPhone 4S, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it. However, it's new with the iPad 3 for the iPad. You guys can see a cool little animation. So let me go ahead and give you guys a demo. This is a test of Siri dictation for the brand new iPad. And you just tap there and it ends it, and that's pretty much just a quick little test of.
So there's Siri dictation, right? He spoke and it recorded, just like it says here, to speak or read aloud to be recorded by another. Only it's Siri recording it instead of maybe a secretary or someone like that, right? Alright, our next word is dictator. So that's related to the word dictate, right? Because to give, speak, orders, or commands, the dictator is the person who gives those demands, or those commands, right? It's a noun, one whose speech is to be taken as the final word. One who orders others around. A tyrannical ruler. Terrifying, right? So our sentence, the small country was ruled by a dictator, makes sense. Now I don't think any of you are old enough to remember what I'm about to show you. It's something called Pinky and the Brain. It was cool when I was your age or younger. But it's a song called To Be a Great Dictator, I think. So take a look. Take a little gander and a listen.
But if I must,
You will gain the people's trust.
I'll let them join my coterie.
And you live by their loyalty.
There are several formulae I like to use for domination and to get the maximum effect out of a helpless nation. Grab me your magnetic shoes, mind-controlling Bluetooths, or a giant signal tower to telecast my mental power. Think big, not small.
Dominoes will start to fall.
And then I can be the mouse who conquers man. So, if you have a calculator, you can be a great dictator. Let each country that you count.
Alright, so that was a silly song, I know. But it's a good one because it talks about being a dictator and it fits. He's talking about, he said, I can be the mouse who conquers man, right? He's going to be in charge. He's going to be the dictator. And he's going to be a great dictator because he knows how to do it. A tyrannical ruler. Beware the mice in your life. Alright, our next word is dictatorial. It is an adjective, speaking and acting in a domineering or oppressive way. The crew resented the dictatorial manner of the foreman. So, someone who is a dictator acts in a dictatorial fashion. See how that works? This one you should be super familiar with. Diction. We have heard this word before. It is a noun that has two meanings. The first one, go ahead and make sure you're underlining both of them. It's choice of words in speaking or writing. That's the one we're familiar with, right? It's how our writers create mood and tone and really great imagery and things like that, your use of diction. It can also mean enunciation in speaking or singing. So it says his diction was so clear that he could be understood at the back of the auditorium. When you don't have clear diction, it means you kind of garble your words. It's hard to understand you. Our next word is edict, from the root e meaning out and dict meaning to speak, so to speak out. It's a noun and it means an official decree. Our sentence here says the Edict of Nantes granted toleration to Protestants in France. And look, there it is. See how it says France right there? Yep, this is the actual Edict of Nantes. So, there you go. And if I mispronounce that, Frenchies, then you should correct me later, by the way. Alright, our next word is jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is from the roots juris, meaning law, and dict, meaning to speak, so to speak the law, right? It's a noun, and it means the right to interpret, i.e. speak, and apply the law, legal power to hear and decide cases, and the extent of such judicial or other authority. So, my jurisdiction is my classroom. When you are in my classroom, you are within my area of authority, right? If we were talking about the whole school, that's Mr. Peterson's jurisdiction, right? Or if you're the Lion King...
Look, Simba. Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
That means that everything the light touches is in Simba's jurisdiction, and his dad's, because technically his dad's king right then, right? Yeah. Alright. Predict, from the roots pre, meaning before, and dict, meaning to speak, means literally to speak beforehand, but look ahead, right? It's a verb, and it means to foretell. Now, the sentence here is very serious. The Bureau of Meteorology predicts a late spring. My picture, not so serious. So it's a fortune teller, right? And she's predicting what will happen in my future. Hoorah! Can also predict what happens in a book, right? So sometimes we foretell what's going to happen. We can make an educated guess, or we can use foreshadowing to predict what's going to happen next. And our last word, valedictorian, from the roots veil meaning farewell and dict meaning to speak, so like a spoken farewell. A valedictorian is a student, usually. It's a noun, usually of the highest scholastic standing, who gives the farewell speech at commencement. And so here is our valedictorian from last year. Alright, darlings, you need to complete the exercises and your Kia. Make sure you study all your roots. Ab, away, dict, to speak, contra, against, e, meaning out, juris, meaning law, pre, before, and veil, farewell. Make sure you practice using those words, and don't just read them and read their definitions. Practice putting them in a sentence. So use the exercises, use the sentences in your book, use the sentences in your Kia to help review, okay? Best of luck on roots. Bye, guys.